Hello, everyone. We are just about to get started with our 13 spooky tips for the holidays. Happy Halloween if you celebrate. I'm going to bring in Natawa.
Hello, how's it going?
You
You
dressed up
guys,
today, sir.
yes, I did. I'm a ice cream cone, and my little baby daughter, she's also an ice cream cone. And I'll stand up because this is a big daddy gets 2 scoops, and little baby girl gets 1 scoop. So that's the theme of the party today, and we'll get going.
One second. Let me see. Denise is asking if we're going to have a flyer. We will share. Denise will share the PowerPoint when after we'll send the PowerPoint out to everybody who signed up. I'll type that in. Got a few more people joining. We have a special today. We are going to give away a prize at the end. We've got this Amarin's toolbox that we're going to give away. It's kind of hard to see it. There you go. And in order to be entered, all you have to do is put your name in the chat. I'll mention it one more time towards the end, and then we'll mail it to you or bring it to you in the office if you're watching from the office. All right, let's get started today.
Okay.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our Amarin Trusted Voices webinar. Happy Halloween. I am Monica Brain. I'm project specialist for Amarin Critical Infrastructure. Amarin Critical Infrastructure is a company inside of Amarin, the insurance company, and we provide grant writing, project management, anything like that to your tribe. You can give me a call at 505-514-6135 if you are interested in obtaining our services. In fact, we can help you write grants to implement some of these safety features that we're talking about today. We can help you look for those grants as well. I am excited to introduce you to Natawa Garcia again. He is going to go through our 13 spooky tips for safety during the holiday. Natawa, do you want to share your screen as well? And just introduce yourself a little bit. Let folks know, just for the folks who are joining now, why you're dressed like that as well.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Perfect. So, like Monica said, my name is Nato Garcia. I'm from Santa Ana Pueblo. I've been in we were the safety team when I first
Risk
started, and then
control.
we now kind of moved to risk control. So, been here for 7 years. Went to New Mexico State, animal reproduction, and somehow they said, "Not, you'd be pretty good at teaching classes and looking at losses because you're a pretty crazy guy." So today we're going to talk about the spooky tips for the holidays. A little bit of the background for us is we do a lot of risk control recommendations, building recommendations, walkthroughs. And so these are just things I see on the road, in the field, even down to Native American homeowners and renters, getting the privilege to go into people's homes, seeing how candles, decorations, Christmas trees, overloaded circuits. So all those little things we'll talk about today. We do understand the holidays bring a lot of stress. Sometimes we forget to plan different things, or we kind of overestimate and underestimate, right? We overestimate our talents and then we underestimate the time. Kind of like how we thought, oh, we could sew that Halloween costume in about an hour. No, it ended up taking till 3 o'clock in the morning, but one of those things we have to plan for a little bit better. So why are we doing this? Like we said, accidents increase during the holiday seasons. We want to make you aware of things we can have fun without adding the stress of an injury or property damage. And we love Halloween. Monica, she was supposed to dress up, kind of threw me under the bus there. Only one looking crazy, but it's all good. The first thing we're going to talk about is decorations, okay? Because the Halloween is kind of like the kickoff to the holiday season. It's becoming more and more, popular. A lot of people are going above and beyond with their Halloween decorations and their displays at their house and in the buildings. Um, so the first thing, on average, there are about 160 decorating related injuries each day during the holiday season. Almost half of the incidents involve falls. So a little later on, we're going to talk a little more specifically about falls and place a thing for candles. I don't like candles. It freaks me out. Think about your office. Think about your home. There's a lot of combustible materials. So a little tip for candles, if they are absolutely necessary. Place your burning candles in sight, away from flammable items, and blow them out before leaving the room. I know that seems a little tedious, cumbersome, but taking those extra precautions can save you from, a total loss or severe damage to your home. And let's say it didn't all the way burn down to the ground. That smoke damage is also a big problem that oftentimes requires the demo or the rebuild to actually get stripped down to the studs. So really powerful thing there, fire, smoke. Another thing, check power cords and electrical outlets for damage and smoking while you're putting up before actually installing your decorations. Let's say it's your favorite skeleton or your favorite, Santa Claus that's been there since baby was born, and that's 30 years ago. Hey, well, let's take a look at the plug. Let's take a look at the wires, and if there's any, physical damage, breaking, tears, or you plug in your power cord and it starts to smoke, hey, that'd be something, or pop. Hey, that'd be something we want to take out of service and maybe replace. Maybe it's time to buy that new decoration, right? Hey, we can finally buy the inflatable Santa instead of this Santa, right? Another rule of thumb would be unplug decorations at the end of the night. I know that's really hard, especially if it's a good party, have a good time, just get tired, and forget about that decoration. Well, what happens, especially if you buy like a cheaper quality decoration? We were talking about Timu earlier, but those things heat up. That electrical cord, those wiring in there, they don't take the proper time to put the insulation, proper things. Maybe you guys seen it, getting a charger on Amazon or getting something from maybe not a trusted source. What does that charger feel like? What do those wires feel like? One day I got a portable speaker, used the cord it came with, and I just touched it on my skin, and I jumped back really quick and said, "Wow, that got hot in 30 minutes." So please unplug decorations at the end of the night. And if the candles are absolutely necessary, let's say for our jack-o'-lanterns or even the frajalitos or luminarias in the wintertime, use the battery operated candles. They're pretty cool. Guess what? They don't go out when it's windy outside, so that's also a plus. And it cuts down on that little risk of burning our curtains or getting some other decorations caught on fire with that flame. Trick or treat and our candy. Be sure to choose a costume that won't cause safety hazards. All costumes, wigs, and accessories should be fire resistant. Um, the Halloween costumes, the tripping hazards there. Think about it, especially with the kids running around wanting to, be super excited they're a princess or super excited they're a vampire or a witch, right? Think about all those things that could cause a tripping hazard. Or let's say they have little tiny jewels that go along with the costume. We got a choking hazard there. The other thing we would want to opt for is non-toxic Halloween makeup over masks. Sometimes those masks can cause our visibility to be a little limited, maybe some breathing problems there. I like the makeup. Test makeup or paint on a small area first to see if any irritation develops, any rash. You don't want to, paint the whole body in your face, so that next thing you know, you bust out in hives, or you start to get these little bumps. So make sure you do that first. I'm the person that jumps the gun and will throw the paint on and then realize, oh my gosh, I'm breaking out. Okay. The next thing, remove all makeup before children go to bed. Okay, prevent skin and eye irritation. Same thing for adults. Hey, if it's a good night, make sure we take that makeup off, take off that Frankenstein face paint, and then go to bed. Prevent skin and eye irritation. It really does. Think about how much fun you had, all the sweat buildup. Take off the makeup, even if the kid's asleep. I know that's the big thing. Oh, well, my son is asleep. He sleeps so nice. I don't want to wake him up. We have to wake him up. Okay, please. The other thing we're going to talk about is the candy. Check candy and remove any suspicious looking wrapping. The FDA advises parents who have children with allergies to check any candy labels to ensure allergens aren't present. The other thing that's unique to our area and Native America is when we do go trick or treating, some of our houses are having, it goes from trick or treat to, hey, come inside, get something to eat. We're having a party, get some nachos, get some pizza, whatever that is. So if you're allergic or, peanut allergies, make sure, you choose the foods that are safe for you. And they do have a Till Pumpkin Project and encourages households to offer non-food items, like glow sticks, bubbles, bouncy balls, or other Halloween toys as non-food options. I know, for example, we're giving out some Capri Suns to our guests. Hopefully, no one's allergic to that, but it takes away the peanut allergy from, my favorite candy. I like those Reese's peanut butter cups, but we're giving out Capri Suns this Halloween. Contact lenses, this also goes into the trick or treat and our costumes. It's a big thing here. I just want to, make sure people are aware of how dangerous the colored contacts are. That, you might want to be Storm and you need the white contacts. Hey, let's think about it. I think Storm for Halloween could have brown eyes today, right? Because colored contact lenses can severely damage your eyes if you don't buy them without a prescription or from, the eye doctor or optometrist. It can cause permanent blindness if they're not fitted by an eye specialist. Like, for example, I have astigmatism in my eye, both of them. So if I get a contact from the drugstore, the smoke shop, put it in my eye, that little edge that my eye has, it's not like the normal one. So it could cause that damage, cornea, scratching, things like that. Permanent blindness. Eye infections from contact lenses can develop within hours. Check this out. Bacteria are in about 60% of colored contacts purchased online without a prescription. That's more than half. Okay. So do you really think if we flip that coin, you bought some cool colored contacts from Temu? Hey, your odds aren't even a flip of a coin. It's worse. Okay. In 2016, surveys in the US show that 85% of teens and 88% of older adults who wore contacts reported at least one non-hygienic behavior that put them at risk for a serious eye infection. So, I just have this on the top left corner here. The super red eye kind of looks a little bit like conjunctivitis. If anybody's had any kind of, conjunctivitis, pink eye, things like that, think about the pain that you felt because that bacteria was in your eye. You can see sensitivity to light really bad. So please take a look, do a double take when you are determining whether or not you're going to wear contact lenses, just because of all the risks they pose. So thank you guys for listening to my spiel on contact lenses. Choking hazards. That's another big thing around the holidays. If you have young children, be sure to remove any choking hazards such as gum, peanuts, and hard candies, or small toys. Wait until you get home to sort and check treats before eating them, because the studies show that a lot of choking hazards on hard candies while rummaging in the dark, that happens. Toy-related injuries and deaths continue to impact thousands of children in the United States each year. In 2020, there were nearly 150,000 toy-related emergency department treated injuries. 150,000, okay? So, what do you do if you suspect someone may be choking? Curious. If you guys don't know, ask if the person is choking. The first thing, think about the last time you may have choked on something, a chip, a piece of ice, whatever it may be. You could not get any words out, right? It was really hard to get someone's attention. They might have said, "Hey, Monica, what's wrong with you?" Um, if the person asked Monica, "Hey, Monica, are you choking?" She could make the nod, yes. Hey, can I help you? You provide that consent, obtain your consent, and provide inward and upward thrusts. Just above the belly button, we're going to provide inward and upward thrusts. Okay, if the choking victim becomes unresponsive, lower the person to the ground and start CPR. We start CPR always with chest compressions. Okay, the only thing different between CPR given to a choking victim and a non-choking victim is we're going to sweep the mouth each time we give the rescue breaths. Okay, and then the other thing that I always want to remind our members of is if we have a choking infant, we want to start with 5 back blows in between the shoulder blades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excuse me. Sweep the mouth, turn them over, and give them 5 chest compressions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sweep the mouth and keep repeating that process. A lot of times when I do give my CPR classes, first aid CPR classes, I always have a couple. I don't want to pick on the grandpas, but the grandpas come up to me and say, "Oh, my grandson or my granddaughter was choking on a penny or a marble," and I just, stuck my finger in the throat and shoved it down. We do not want to do that. That causes more injury than helping. Think about how big your finger is in relation to the baby's throat, esophagus. We want to do the 5 back blows, and because the body in the baby is still cartilage, we would want to use a little bit of force there to try to expel that item. So if the person is choking, ask the person, right? Are you choking? And so now we're going to move on to our electrical safety. It's really huge around the holiday seasons. The decorations, the added cooking, let's see, the crock pots, things like that, right? Has our circuits ever looked anything like, has our surge protector looked like this in the past? Maybe it's going to look like that tonight for a Halloween party. But the thing we want to do is inspect electrical decorations for damage before use. We talked about that earlier. Damaged sockets, loose or bare wires. Inspect, please. Do not overload electrical outlets. Avoid overloading outlets and plug only one high wattage appliance into each outlet at a time. We see that a lot, right? We might get an influx of people coming into our building, or, oh my gosh, the lines are long. Let's plug in 5 toasters into this one circuit. Well, guess what happens? The power goes out, right? So please, please, please be aware of those overloaded electrical outlets. Protect cords from damage. Cords should never be pinched by furniture, forced into small places such as doors or windows, placed under rugs, located near heat sources. Okay. I know we see a lot of that, trying to squeeze them into tight spots, putting a nail or a staple on them to keep them close to the wall. We don't want to do that, right? That kind of alters the protection and the wiring and the electrical cords. Check decorations for a certification label. They were tested by an independent party. Kind of gives us a little bit more awareness or hope that, hey, all right, this is a little bit safer here. The big thing, unattended cooking equipment is the leading cause of home cooking fires. Turn off, unplug, and extinguish all decorations when going to sleep or leaving the house. Please don't leave that cooking equipment unattended, even if you say, well, it'll just be 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Think about how often that 10-minute drive to the store turns into a 2-hour. Oh my gosh, I saw auntie, I saw uncle, I had to go to mom's. In that time, hey, a kitchen fire could have started. Get home, our house is on fire, right? So please, please, please don't leave it unattended, and turn off, unplug, and extinguish when you're leaving the house. 4,000 injuries associated with electrical extension cords are treated in the emergency room. Think about that. Think about our own personal lives. Have we ever tripped over the extension cord? Maybe we're one of those 4,000 people, right? Electrical burns to the mouth accounted for 50% of injuries to young children. So that's another kind of tip to look for when setting up our house and our decorations is that electrical cord going to be in contact with our crawling kid or a walking toddler. Keep that in mind, because 50% of injuries to young children, right? Electrical burns to the mouth. Food safety, because everybody likes to eat at the holiday times. Just some tips here. Don't leave perishable goodies out of the fridge for more than 2 hours. 1 hour in temps above 90 degrees. Last week it was about 90 degrees. This week or today, kind of dipped down into the 50s, 40s. Keep all perishable foods chilled until serving time. Sandwiches, cheese platters, fruits or tossed salads. I know this is a fan favorite, but do not taste raw cookie dough or cake batter that contain uncooked eggs or unbaked flour. Even that unbaked flour needs to be, cooked down. Think about where that wheat was grown in the field. That cooking there takes away a little bit of that bacteria. Unpasteurized juice and cider can contain harmful bacteria such as salmonella. To stay safe, always serve pasteurized products at your parties. Cook food thoroughly. Use a food monitor. Make sure meat, chicken, turkey, and seafood have been cooked to a safe internal temperature. And if we're using acid to cook, let's say we have some ceviche or aguas chiles, please let that acid do its job and let that thing cook down for the time allotted. Don't try to rush it and serve some people uncooked seafood. Wash your hands frequently. I know we stress that a lot, but we tend to kind of overlook that in high pressure. Oh my gosh, our guests are coming over. But just make it a habit to wash your hands frequently. Here we have the foodsafety.gov safe minimum internal temperature chart for cooking. Like we said, this will be the PowerPoint will be shared with you, so you can take a look, take this piece out, but it's really easy. You just Google it, and it'll have the internal temperature that you want to cook your food or have your food at. A food thermometer, I think you get one at Walmart for like $2, but it's a really good tool to have, especially cooking that chicken, right? You do not want to get salmonella, things like that with uncooked chicken, but you also don't want super dry chicken. So that food thermometer there kind of gets us that perfect temperature. We know where to gauge our cooking. And so that brings us into fire safety. Fire safety around the holidays, huge. I know we all know the statistics that, Thanksgiving is the day where, we have most home fires, right? So cooking and heating are the leading causes of home fires and fire injuries. Winter months are the peak time for fire-related deaths. Stay with food while cooking. Do not leave stove unattended, right? Think about how many times even, boiling down some water or, cooking something on the stove has started a fire, maybe grease fire. We leave, right? Next thing we know, fire alarms going off, smoke's coming through our house. So please stay with your food while cooking. Smother the flame. If we kind of bring that idea into our cooking, smother the flame, cover the flame, because a fire needs 3 things to operate, right? And oxygen's one of them. So if we cut the oxygen source, then our fire will go down. And it is one of those things where we get scared. Oh my gosh, well, we'll move it. You move the fire, you pick up the pan off the stove. Well, guess what? You moving there gives that oxygen, give that fire more oxygen. Then you put some water on top of a grease fire because I'm scared. Boom, we have an explosion, right? So let's get in the habit of smothering the flame. Our life safety components, those are huge. We need to make sure, we check the batteries. We get them updated. Smoke detector is good for 5 years. So if you are at Home Depot or Lowe's and you see a smoke detector that's on sale 95% off, chances are that it's probably getting close to that 5-year expiration date. So take a look at that. Change your batteries. A good rule of thumb to change the batteries is once in July, and then another time for Christmas. So twice a year, check your smoke detectors, change your batteries, carbon monoxide detectors as well. Those are good. The other life safety component that people often tend to overlook is our animals, is our dogs. That dog will let you know something's happening, probably a lot quicker than that smoke detector. Um, but keep those up to date. The next thing we'll take a look at is, the use of a fire extinguisher. We want to use the pass system. Pull the pin, aim, squeeze, and sweep. Okay, and I know most of our tribal governments have fire extinguishers. Some of the, Nahazda homes, the HUD homes have fire extinguishers. How often those get serviced and updated, um, that varies. But please make sure you understand how to use the fire extinguisher. The last thing for fire safety is make an escape plan at the office and at home. Um, when we're sitting at our desk, do we have 2 exit routes? Do we know where we're going to meet up? In our family, at our home, do we have an escape plan? Do we know where we're going to leave? Do we know where we're going to meet up if there was a fire in the home, or the carbon monoxide detector is going off, or the smoke detector? Where are we going to go? What are we going to meet? Okay, all things to think about. And the thing about the fire alarm, having a working smoke alarm reduces one's chances of dying in a fire by nearly half. Okay, so that's a pretty interesting stat there. And then year round, 1/3 of home decoration fires were started by candles. So that's another thing. Hey, those candles are bad news. And then it jumped to almost half in December when candles started about 46% of the fires. So year round, it's about a third. And then around December time, it jumps to about 46%. So please, 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 those candles, let's find an alternate, route for the candles. The U.S. Fire Department responded to an estimated average of 835 home structure fires per year that began with the decorations. Okay. Thanksgiving is the peak day for home cooking fires, followed by Christmas Day and Christmas Eve. So, like I said, the Halloween is kind of that first holiday that opens up the holiday season. What's coming up next? Thanksgiving, right? So, get ready for it. Take those precautions. Look at our electrical safety. Don't overload our circuits. And then now, like we talked about, it's getting a little bit colder, winterizing our home. We need to clean the gutters because those gutters are, there to make the snow and the water run off safely. If our gutters are full of leaves and debris and junk, that gutter doesn't serve its purpose. It also could be a fire hazard because what do those debris, junk, leaves do? They dry, right? They become nice tinder for, let's say, one of those Christmas lights gets hot, just hot enough. Boom. Guess what? Now our roof's on fire. So inspect the roof and the attic. When it starts to get cold, if you notice any, holes or cracks in the roof, let's get those fixed. Let's get our roof, inspected. Check the chimney. If we do have a chimney, let's get an appointment with the chimney sweep to get it cleaned out. If we aren't using our chimney or our fireplace, there's a balloon we could put in our chimney to, make sure there's no draft coming from the outside. Weatherproof windows and doors. If you feel that draft, let's make those precautions. And this is all to be more proactive, right? Because when it gets cold, when we feel that draft and it's freezing in our home, that's that reactive part when we're out there and it's 20 degrees or 0 degrees out there. And we finally said, all right, well, let me go weatherproof the windows. So right now is a good time before it gets ice cold to start, winterizing our home. Protect the pipes, cover up the faucets outside. They have those cool little covers that are like $5 at Home Depot. They said it help service the HVAC system. We would want to do that once in the wintertime and then once, in the spring when we want to get our AC unit back up, service that. Because if there is a little crack or a leak or a problem, they'll get that now before it gets, December, January, February, where it's really icy. Prepare your patio and deck If we have any furniture, outside furniture, cover it up. If we have patio, put some more weatherizing on the wood. But just get ready for the winter season there. And the last point, probably the most important, is ensure your snow removal tools are accessible. So if that even goes down to your PPE, your gloves, your boots, your hat, hey, let's get that accessible because we don't want to be moving Halloween, 4th of July, uh, any of those things. We don't want to have that, in our way when we need to get the snowblower or when we need to get the salt. It'll just be right there and accessible. So make sure those tools are ready for the season. And so slips and trips. So U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission estimates that each year about 4,000 injuries associated with electrical extension cords are treated in hospital emergency rooms. So 4,000. We talked about that earlier. 50% of these injuries involve fractures, lacerations, contusions, and sprains from people tripping over extension cords. Identify hazardous conditions. So it's ripped carpet, missing tiles, missing steps in our stairs. And this is not only for our home, but also on the job site. Okay. Because I know there's a lot of places where there might be some ripped up carpet, there might be some missing tiles that we just kind of step over every day. And it takes that one day when we're, maybe doing something, thinking about our meeting with the boss, where we forget to take that extra big step and we go in between those tiles, or we go in that, or we miss the step that's missing and we fall down the stairs, right? So please, please, please identify those hazardous conditions. Good housekeeping is a key in preventing slips and trips. We have to always, make sure we know what we are doing, right? And if we don't know what we're doing, ask, hey, am I doing this job right? Did I put everything away correctly? Okay, so good housekeeping is a key. Clean spills or block the area, use the signs. Believe it or not, I know people say, hey, those caution wet floor signs don't work. They do. One tribe had a black sign, and that caught my eye. I was like, what's this black sign here? And it said caution wet floor in red letters. But, having that sign there really makes you take a look and, all right, wet floor. Walk slowly. Use mats. Wear non-skid shoes. Okay. And report icy spots. So if there is a notorious area in our campus or in our tribe or at our home, let's ice that part a little bit more. Let's make sure we clear that area a little bit more, because more times than not, it's going to keep going to that same area, right? Oh, the north face of the building always has icy spots. Yeah, well, we have to make sure we salt that area. The other thing about slips and trips would be closing our drawers, closing our cabinets in our home, because that's the next thing, right? We're running around trying to get the lasagna out of the oven, but no one closed that bottom drawer there. I fall down, drop the lasagna, ruin dinner. So please, please, please close those cabinets and drawers as well. Falls. Scary stuff here. Almost half of holiday accidents involve falls, which lead to broken bones, concussions, and pulled muscles. Okay, so choose the right ladder for the job. Inspect before each use. So even at your house, but most especially on the job. So if they say, hey, Natua, go over there and fix our lights or replace the lights in the office. All right. The first thing I'm doing is I'm getting the ladder and I'm looking at it. I'm taking a look at, is there any cracks? Is in the rings? Is there any damage to the rings? Is there any, damage to any part of that ladder that'll make me take it out of service? Because if there's any damage, and we have to take that ladder out. We can't use it. So please inspect the ladder before you get on. Next thing, work with a partner or a neighbor. So if we're at work, coworker, if we're at home trying to set up some decorations, hey, ask the neighbor. Hey, excuse me, Clara, can you help me help set up my Christmas lights today? I'll get you guys. I'll help you out too. Use that buddy system. Give yourself enough time to finish decorating. That's a big thing, right? Rushing around to put up the Christmas lights or put up a Christmas tree, we might miss a step. We might forget to put water under that Christmas tree, right? Put our lights on there. Guess what? That tree was once living, now it's slowly dying and drying out. Those lights are still giving that same amount of energy. It heats a combustion point. Guess what? Our tree is in flames now. So that rushing around, missing those little steps do cost. In the 2022 holiday season, about 14,800 people were treated in hospital emergency departments due to holiday decorating related injuries. That's, if you think about the whole United States, uh, small number there, but still, that think about how many people didn't go to the hospital, right? Didn't go to the emergency room. So that probably number is a lot bigger, but 14,000 of these people, hospital emergency department. Okay. Opioids, scary, scary, scary. Across our nation, the opioid pandemic's taking over. The CDC reported that nearly 82% of overdose deaths involved at least one opioid in 2022. Okay. So drug overdose, number one cause of unintentional deaths in the United States. In 2023, about 107,000 people died from a drug overdose, nearly 300 people a day. That's sad. 40% of people who misuse prescription opioids got them from a friend or relative. Learn about safe storage and disposal of medications. Okay. Be informed of alternative to opioids when talking with medical providers. That's always my big thing is that how bad is this going to hurt? You think some ibuprofen will be okay? I think I'll just tough it out. Last time I had a pulled hamstring, or it was actually a torn hamstring. Uncle Bob comes up to me and says, "You're just going to have to tough it out. I'm throwing these away." And so toughed it out, threw it away, but find alternatives to the opioids. Highly addictive. And if we are having to take opioids, make sure they're prescribed by a medical provider. Okay. Not, oh, I'm going to go down to the neighbor. He said he'll help my back. No, we have to make sure we get them prescribed for you by a medical provider. Learn how to confidently talk with your loved ones about opioid and other drug use. Obtain naloxone and get trained on how to use it. Okay. I know a lot of our fire departments, our CHR, our social service department, have naloxone and you provide the trainings for naloxone. The big thing we have to know is it does reverse those effects. And oftentimes people get real combative, angry, might get punched, things like that. But that is the naloxone. If a victim is unresponsive in breathing, call 911 and put the victim in the recovery position. And if the victim is unresponsive and not breathing, we start CPR. We call 911 and start CPR. But I just mentioned that because not too long ago, there was one of my classmates on the speed bump there on our res, and she was unresponsive but breathing. And so call 911 and put her in the recovery position. The recovery position there is meant to save lives. It allows the person to breathe more easily and allows draining from the mouth. You don't want to get that, choke on your vomit. Okay, so the recovery position, real easy to do, and it saves lives. So the next thing is stress during the holidays. How many of us have stress during the holidays? Maybe we got some stress coming on right now. Hey, it's the start of the holiday season, so it plays out into our presentation here. But stress during the holidays. Pay attention to your feelings. Develop a plan when you're feeling stressed, sad, or lonely. Practice self-care. Connect with community. Support others. Recognize seasonal mood changes. Avoid alcohol and drugs. Maintain the healthy habits, right? Keep going to the gym, keep going for your walks, and plan accordingly. Because what's happening? Why does most of that stress come to us during the holidays? Because we didn't plan accordingly. We said, oh, we could do that later. We could do that later. Next thing you know, it's Christmas Eve. Next thing you know, it's Thanksgiving and the store's closed. Now we're freaking out. What do we have to eat? Or our turkey is not thawed out and it's, Thanksgiving Eve. Dang it. What are we going to do? Okay. So plan accordingly, plan ahead. The other thing, when we are talking about stress in our workplace, take a break, identify stress patterns and avoid them. Write down what happens, how you react, and how you calm down. Take care of yourself, exercise and eat right and get enough sleep. You could also plan a getaway from work, even if it's a half a day off of work, just to do something that you want to do, something for yourself, right? Take advantage of that. Learn to relax. Look into meditation, deep breathing exercises. That's my thing. A lot of people probably say, "Nah, you don't relax. You don't know how to sit down. You know how to be calm." But I do a lot of breathing. I do a lot of deep breaths because, believe it or not, crazier than I usually am, in my brain. So I have to take my deep breaths, say a prayer. That's how I calm down. Get help. Reach out to supervisors and family friends. And think about this. Research shows workplace stress is responsible for up to 190 billion in annual US healthcare costs. So 190 billion with the B. So please take that time for yourself. Workplace stress is not worth it, right? It's not worth it. When you're seeing 190 billion, I think any employer would say, "Hey, maintain those healthy habits. I would rather have you healthy and feeling excited to be here than stressed out." Okay. So stress during the holidays, take that time for yourself and really avoid the alcohol and the drugs. They don't help. They just mask things and make them worse. Okay. Vehicle safety, prepare your car for winter. So test your battery power drops as the temperature drops. Make sure cooling system is in good working order. Think about, we look at the middle picture here. We need to have a good cooling system there. If we were stuck in that line, because if that thermostat or whatever may go down and we're stuck in this for 8, 6, 7 hours, what are we going to do, right? So make sure our cooling system is good working order. Have winter tires with a deeper, more flexible tread on your vehicle. If you are from, the Dakotas, a place where you get a lot of snow, this is just second nature to you, right? But for places like where we're at, New Mexico, Arizona, we don't think about winter tires, and we get 1 inch of snow and everybody's getting off the road. So please have your winter tires, check your tire pressure. The big thing I'll tell you, check your wiper blades and replace if needed. Especially if you are in Arizona, New Mexico, somewhere where it's a lot drier, because guess what? That sun, it beat up that rubber all summer long. And now it's going to cool down, it's going to rain, and you flip your windshield wipers on, and guess what? They cracked. You don't have a clear vision. So make sure we check those. And Costco usually runs a nice sale on them right now. So you could probably get yourself some wiper blades for like $15 for 2 of them. So that'd be pretty good. Really easy to replace. Had a wiper fluid rated for negative 30 degrees, minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit. The big thing there, if you have an older car or, you have a grandma that just puts water in her wiper fluid container, it freezes. You turn it on, it freezes on your windshield, right? So we have to make sure it's rated for, super cold, minus 30. Keep your gas tank at least half full to avoid gas line freeze, and keep an emergency preparedness kit fully stocked on longer road trips. What do we have in our emergency preparedness kit, right? I would at least have a blanket, some food, some water, flashlight. I would have a lot of blankets and some water and some clothes, food, things that'll, keep me warm if I have to hunker down for a long time. And then 13, driving under the influence, driving under the holiday. Why did we name it driving under the holiday? Well, because we tend to make some pretty awful decisions during this holiday season. Nationwide, alcohol impaired fatalities in 2021 represented 31% of total traffic fatalities. During Thanksgiving period, 36% of the fatalities involved an alcohol impaired driver. Okay. And then for tonight, children are more than twice as likely to be hit by a car or killed on Halloween than on any other day of the year. So please, 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 that's why it's important to stress, hey, we're going to hold hands, we're going to walk with the buddy. Um, Back to those costumes, maybe put a reflective strip on that costume, or maybe make sure that costume is built in reflectors so the drivers could see. Because you couple a little bit of partying and alcohol impairment, bad decision making, and then darkness and some kids walking around happy to get candy, that's a recipe for disaster. So please, as parents, let's make that choice and say, hey, you're going to come right here. You'll hold on my hand. We're going to go together as a group, because children are more than twice as likely to be hit by a car on Halloween. So we have to make sure we're safe. Do not drive if you've taken or mixed any amount of alcohol and or other drugs that can impair your driving abilities. Be responsible, use rideshare programs, get a ride from a designated driver. If you are on, tribal lands, the res, and you have a party, we would always just say, hey, just walk home. Hey, you live like a mile away, just walk home. There's no need to drive, because guess what? When you drive, you end up in the ditch, or you could kill somebody trick or treating, right? Avoid traveling late at night. And guess what? Drowsy driving is impaired driving. So take that break, stop, take that 20-minute nap, whatever it may be. If you're too tired, pull over. It's not worth it. I'll be the first person to tell you that. Everybody knows I'm not a good nighttime driver. Is my plan not to drive at night. One day, come home 2:30 in the morning. I was about 3 miles away from my house. I get to the stop sign. I take a deep breath. All right, you made it home. From that stop sign to my house, or about a quarter mile away, I fell asleep. I woke up because the truck was on the gravel. Opened my eyes and I see an electrical pole right there in front of me. I was able to swerve out of the way, but drowsy driving is impaired driving. No idea. Had no idea. Zero idea. So please, let's take those tips into consideration. Let's plan ahead. Let's plan accordingly. If the weather is not permitting, hey, Grandma, I'm sorry I can't make it over tonight. The roads are bad. I'll catch you when they get better. Okay, it's okay. It's okay to miss out. All right, to keep yourself safe and your family safe. So thank you guys. I appreciate your time. You can contact us at riskcontrolteam@ameren.com. Then just our basic numbers there, and ask for anybody in the risk control team. And if you guys can, this link should be live to a risk control survey. It helps me out with my boss. So can you please fill that out for me? It should take about maybe 5 minutes, and you can do it on your phone. Real user friendly. And if you guys have any questions, we'll answer them now.
Thanks, Natua. Appreciate it. Okay, so I did for everybody who weighed in on the thing, I did a little wheel. So I'm gonna share, and we'll pick who's gonna get the toolbox. But I also wanted to thank everybody for watching today, and we've got something for everybody here. So I'll contact you for your contact information. All right, let's see if I can get this working. Okay, so it doesn't want to share it, so you'll have to take my word for it. I'm gonna run the wheel thing. And it looks like our winner is Latanya. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Hey, Natua, you talked about food safety a few slides back. I'm curious where you stand on putting stuffing inside the turkey and cooking it versus the safety of cooking it outside the turkey.
So you've seen it both ways, but it's really important to get that internal temperature up.
Yeah.
To that 165. There's really no safety precaution there, but we do have to stress the importance of making sure that turkey's done.
Yeah, absolutely. Any final tips or comments for safety, particularly tonight, Halloween?
But have fun, keep it safe, and look both ways when you're crossing the road. Even if you are on the res, hey, there's crazy people out there not paying attention and maybe forgetting that it is Halloween. So look both ways, wear your reflectors, and then also have a meetup place with if you're going trick or treating with the group of kids, make sure you guys have a you know meeting place so you could account for all those people.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today. And like I said, we'll send this PowerPoint. You can reuse it for whatever you'd like. If you want to turn it into flyers or anything like that, well, I'll email that to you shortly later today. And Jackie, or Latanya, actually everyone who's on, I'll be contacting you to send you something. Thank you for joining us on our favorite holiday, Halloween. We appreciate it. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks with another webinar about file management and making sure you don't lose all your files or save everything on your desktop. Thanks, everyone.